Coming up, I'm going to give you the secrets to creating a story teaser trailer for your game that is inspired by the best of the Hollywood movie trailers. I'm also going to unveil how we in the Rec explored the very dark corners of the mind and the very ambivalent emotions you can feel towards the people you love.
Could be long-term consequences. This sort of event severely impacts the body, and mental functions may also be impaired.
I'm not ready for this.
I need to know if you and your mother will be able to deal with that sort of complication.
Holy fucking shit.
Hey there, I'm Florent Morin. I'm the head of The Pixelant, a tiny video game studio based in Paris, France. We are really thrilled to be part of the official selection of the London Games Festival. And now we are going to answer all your questions about our upcoming game, The Rec, and all the things that we try to do with it. It's right now. The Rec is a 3D visual novel with a very mature themes about motherhood, sisterhood, and how to recover from trauma, basically.
Mom,
My little dear?
what's your favorite animal?
Good question. Let me think. I know. Ants.
Ants?
Sure, ants.
Seriously? Ants suck.
What do you mean ants suck? Ants are like super strong. For real. Plus, there's no animal even half as brave as ants.
And how would you know that?
Have you ever heard an ant complaining?
Well, no, but...
Aha, see? Let me tell you this. Life would be way more simple if we were ants.
Except I love her life just the way it is, Mom.
I love it too, my little dear. I love it too.
So there are several things I really like about this trailer. Of course, I'm not the best person to say that this is good because we did the trailer, but I think we really were able to give a glimpse of the atmosphere of the game. First, because we have those very talented voiceover actresses that convey the two main characters of the game, Junon, the main character, and her daughter, Astrid.
Mom?
My little dear?
And what we tried to accomplish would be that people would feel a little uneasy, a little uncomfortable with this mother and this child having discussion, and then you see a car that's completely wrecked. You can't help but wonder what happened to them, of course. And then there's this little camera movement, like that's getting backwards, that's rewinding, and this is both just aesthetically something interesting because you come back to the initial situation, and it's also a hint at one of the gameplay mechanics of the game itself. So the first thing I'd like to say is that The Rec as a game is very inspired by cinema. The main character, Junon, is a screenwriter. She wants to make movies for some reasons that you will discover while playing the game. She couldn't achieve that up until the moment you meet her. But we had a lot of work on camera angles, everything that could make it feel like a movie. And this introduction is a good example of that. We try to make, like, right from the start, we want players to be in a specific mindset. We want them to feel like, okay, I am going to be told a story in a form that is somewhere between a movie and a video game, and so they can set their expectations right. It's about a young screenwriter named Junon, and she's kind of a failed screenwriter because you'll know soon enough that she didn't have the career she craves for, and she has a lot of issues, and the biggest of the ones to begin with in the game is that she's been called by the hospital because her mother is in the emergency room, and so she has to go to the hospital to see what's wrong with her mom.
I have a confession. I love crappy romantic comedies. Yeah, it's a cliche. I can't help it. I love them. All those movies have that scene, you know? The girl is at her wit's end. She's been crying her eyes out. Her makeup is running. She looks like a zombie. She's done. Which is when Ryan Gosling knocks on her door to coax her out.
Miss.
So yes, we started with a first internal monologue, and there's going to be a lot of them in the game.
This is the problem with my life.
With Junon, the voice of Junon is a very talented French actress who's called Charlotte Daysac, and she's great because she's been able to be funny, even though her character is not in a very good position, and that's something you really needed.
So the hospital restroom floor, like a sack of potatoes. No better place for a nap.
Are you okay, miss?
Oh, shit, the doctor. Honestly, not really.
You have always an open window to what she's thinking and where she's at mentally. And I think that it helps us create a bond between the player and the main character. Even though the main character is not always super nice, but that's also part of the relationship. You know? Why is she the way she is? Why is she sometimes angry?
I'm just a little nauseous is all. I just had a little bit of a moment. A big moment. But it's over now. Sorry, I ducked out. I'm already feeling much better. I can hardly
in the hospital,
tell her the truth, can I?
She just learned that her mother is sick and that she might be dying, and that came as a shock, of course. So she fainted in the toilet.
It wasn't a good look. It's hardly my fault. I haven't been handling stress very well lately. I'll be out in just a second. Those weren't here before. Do you think they have any idea where they are?
So in the full game, you're going to be alternating between talking to people and thinking in your head. And that's really the thing we wanted to convey with the game, is that whenever you're talking to someone, there's always a lot of things going on in your head. And it's a little intimate. You don't talk about that a lot, what's going on through your own head when you talk to people. But we try to render that in the game in order for you to, as a player, to get connected with Junon's intimacy. Because of course, if we want you to be involved in the story, we need you to feel connected to her as a character.
Anything related to medical care will be my team's responsibility. But you are her trusted advocate.
I'm sorry,
you should be
her what now?
Do you not remember? This is the reason we called you. We have your name and your number, which means that you signed the release.
I have no idea what she's talking about.
And since she is not able to express her will, it falls to you to speak on her behalf. But I presume you discussed that when you went through the process. So you must know that there are a number of...
I don't believe it! She put my name on the form without... She must have forged my signature. It's hardly a surprise. She's always done that kind of stuff. But I'm not making any important decisions. The phone call from the hospital, that was
There's 5 of us, so we're rather a tiny team. And we couldn't have a lip sync for all the dialogue lines. We just simply didn't have the means to do that.
Me deciding on her behalf. Although, that's just a figure of speech, huh? I can't remember the last time I saw Marie laugh. Actually, I do. When she read my first screenplay in high school. The passion with which she disregarded my work was always amazing to me. She almost died laughing that day. And the saddest part...
We are somewhere in between an actual movie and a storyboard of a movie. And I think that's fitting well with the general theme.
My maiden name.
I'm sorry, that wasn't in your file. Listen, I understand that this is all very sudden, but we don't have a lot of time. We need to focus.
We do indeed.
In the game, as you will be having conversation with the different person you are going to meet, thoughts will pop up and they will materialize on screen in the forms of big words that will appear in the screen space. And you can click on those words, and if you do, you will explore Junon's thoughts. And inside the thoughts, you will be able to sometimes explore them linearly, or sometimes you will have to make choices to explore some specific aspects of some thoughts that you feel are more interesting than other.
Not a doctor? You're right.
And so the game is going to be going back and forth between this moment, what we call the last day, the moment where Junon is facing this bad news about her mother, and the wreck, the car accident, the heart of the game, because she's going to have several opportunities to
What did she expect?
be annoyed for some reason, go to her car, leave the hospital,
So she dies.
and of course, as you progress through the stories, the reasons why she decides to leave the hospital will not always be the same. There's going to be a progression. But what will always be the same is this. Every time Junon leaves the hospital, she ends up in a car crash. And as she does, time slows down. Objects, items that she had in a backpack starts flying around in the car. And some of the items have an overlay that if you look at them and click on them, they will transport you to a memory.
I remember Diane and I found an injured bird in the backyard. It was tiny. I think it was around the time Marie had set up her new studio in the sunroom. Now that I think of it, that was also my first experience with death. In fact, I also had a really weird dream that night. Something about that day always seemed off. I never figured out why. And why am I thinking about this now?
So all the memories you are going to revisit throughout your playthrough of the wreck are going to work in the same way. You are going to have first an introduction of the memory itself, what's happening in it, why you remember that, and then you are going to be able to explore it, going back and forth inside the memory, finding words that are actually hints, and trying to click on them to understand the memory more and dig deeper until you are actually able to get something that up until that point you were never able to figure out. So there's some kind of an epiphany each time you're visiting a memory. And this epiphany is something that you understand about yourself, about your relationship to the people you love. And that makes you look at your life in a slightly different way. And reach with that epiphany, you are going to be able to go back in time and to go back to the hospital and change the reaction you had to avoid being annoyed or being angry and leaving and rushing to your car and getting to the car accident.
I think I saw a big shadow moving down the hallway that night. I imagined a monster bird was visiting us. For a long time, I thought it was just a strange dream. The nest was high up in the tree, but the bird was obviously young. It must have been badly hurt. I didn't realize it at the time. Now I know for certain that someone was in the backyard that night. And since Diane was at her father's, it must have been Marie. What was she doing out there? Maybe...
for instance, here, while exploring this memory about a dying
Marie
bird
was
that Junon
always
and
quite
her
passionate about
sister
birds.
had found
So I
in
suggested we
the
keep this
backyard
one as a pet.
when
Once
Junon
it
was
got
10 years
better,
old.
I could already imagine
Junon is
it.
able
A
to
beautiful
realize
cage
that
tucked in the
her
corner of the
mother
studio.
had actually
She got
killed
so
the bird
mad. At the time,
because
I
the bird
didn't
was hurt,
understand why
and
she reacted like that.
Marie, Junon's
But
mother,
now,
knew that she was not able to, the bird was not able to fully recover. And as Marie is a very, very intense
maybe
and
Marie
all or
killed the
nothing
bird.
kind of person,
That's what
she
she was
decided
doing
to
out
just
there in
kill
the
the
middle
bird.
of the
And
night,
Junon had
burying it in
never understood
secret.
that up
And
until
it might
that
sound
point.
strange,
But that tells her
but I
something
also
about her
understand
mother's
why she did
personality.
it.
And thus, that tells her something about their relationship, because Junon is not like that. And so she's going to be able to understand that if Junon was in Marie's situation, maybe she would like people she loves to react
Marie
in a certain way.
is
But
really
as
a
it's Marie
touchy
we're
person,
talking
you know.
about,
She's
Junon has to take
usually
that into
hard, but
consideration
also
in the way
she
she
could
deals
be
with the
vulnerable.
situation.
Sometimes. She couldn't stand seeing the bird injured. She knew it would never recover. It was too weak. I remember she said, "Not being able to fly, that's no life for a bird." She thought it would be better off dead. She could have just abandoned it, let things run their course. But I don't think she did. I think she killed it with her own hands. It sounds cruel, doesn't it? But that's just Marie. That's her outlook on life. She's all or nothing.
So the fact that your mother is an all or nothing kind of person, and that now you understand that and why she's that way, is a new element that you just figured out that is going to be able to unlock your progress
legs are
in
shaking.
the last day. So
Maybe
you
I'm having
rewind,
another
you get
turn.
back to the last day,
need a sugary
and then
drink.
you're able to say something
Understood.
that you were not able to say before,
Need anything?
because you've understood something that
I
you
need
did not
more
understand
coffee.
before.
But if I
And
drink
this
another
is the
one,
whole
my
game,
stomach's
basically.
going
You're
to
going to
declare
have all
war
those
on
back
the
and
rest of
forth
me.
between your memories and
I'm
your
not
this
ducking
difficult
out.
situation
Not
you're
this time.
facing,
After all, isn't this
and
what Marie wanted?
hopefully you're going to be able to progress again and
I
again
can't
and again
speak on my mom's behalf.
until you're able to reach a conclusion that's the good one.
One thing's for sure, she's a radical.
There's actually a lot of people that can relate to that slightly abusive relationship they might have had with their parents, how they felt when their parents were something happened to them, and when suddenly you're in the ER because someone you love but may have a difficult relationship with is struggling, whether you want it or not, whether you think it's a good moment or not, you are going to pass through all your memories with them and to reassess how you feel towards them and what your desires are. And sometimes you want people to make it through, but sometimes there's also a little tiny part of you that says, if they die, that might be a good riddance. And you hate it because you say, no, I can't think like that because they are my parents and I love them. But also you do, so you can't not think like that because your brain is doing its things without your consent, basically. And I think that's relatable, those ambiguous moments and those ambiguous relationships you have even with the people you love the most.
To be completely frank, if we're able to pull your mother through this, there's only a small chance she'll be like she was before.
Small? How small?
Smaller than that. In all probability, she will never be quite the same. Some people would prefer not to keep living under such circumstances. That rather their medical care were geared more around letting go as gracefully as possible. What I need to know is, what would your mother want?
I don't know how to answer that.
Okay, I think that's all we got time for. Thanks a lot to the London Games Festival for the opportunity to talk about our project, The Wreck. It's coming up really soon. It should be ready by the middle of this year, probably. And it will be on PC, on Steam, on Mac, and probably on one console, but we're not completely sure which one yet. We will going to be announcing that pretty soon. If you liked what you see, please wishlist the game on Steam. That would help us a lot. And well, when the full game is out, we can't wait to hear what you'll think about it. Thanks a lot for watching.